Dark and difficult times lie ahead. Soon we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy.
Hate speech. What exactly is hate speech? Well, I'm buggered if I know. The reason I don't know is because there is so many interpretations of hate speech. Everybody will find offence in something where somebody else doesn't find offence. And this causes a lot of problems for us, for the general members of the public. If you've watched many of my videos, some of them I've spoken about this. I don't believe that there actually is such a thing as hate speech. I think that it's something that's been made up. I think that there are legislations and laws that already cover what this hate speech umbrella, if you like, has come to encompass. And unfortunately, along with this hate speech thing, a lot of laws and legislations have been misinterpreted and forgotten, I might add. Now, this video, I will apologise, the title says, what is hate speech? Well, I can't tell you what hate speech is, and this video is not about what hate speech is. So the title's a little bit clickbaity. However, I can tell you what hate speech isn't. And from that, you'll be able to make up your own mind on what hate speech is, if it is in fact such a thing. Now, I cannot take credit for this information. I've been talking to somebody via email for the past few days. Very, very clever man. I've not asked him if I can say his name, so for that reason, I'm not going to. I'm not going to disclose where this information come from. I wish I could say that I found this myself and take all the credit for it, but I can't. This is kind of hidden away. I mean, you imagine all the different acts and legislations there are in the UK. And you imagine literally trying to find 4 or 5 acts that have got 3 or 4 lines of legislation in them that explain this. Now, that's a big task. But this guy that I've been speaking to found it, he knows about it, and he pointed it out to me today in an email after he watched the video I posted yesterday, I think it was, with the Muslim lady telling the LGBTQ parade what she thought of them. Now, I said in that video that I don't think that that was hate speech. And there's 2 reasons for that. First of all, because I don't believe in hate speech. And secondly, because she didn't say anything that incited violence or loss or harm, and she didn't harass them as far as I'm concerned, although I was told in the comments afterwards that this lady had already spoken to them once today, the Muslim lady, and then she came out and she sought them out to have another go at them. Now, that would be classed as harassment, and that is already in the legislation. So that would have been harassment. So she could have been arrested for harassment, not for racially aggravated or religiously aggravated or sexually aggravated, gender aggravated or whatever you want to call it. None of that. If anything, she should have been picked up for harassment, which she may well do. That may well be the case when they're finished with her. I don't know yet because I've not seen any updates for it. But but let me get back to the point here. I want to show you what hate speech isn't, because a lot of people disagree with me in the comments, and that's fine, absolutely fine. I appreciate everybody's opinion, absolutely. I am all for freedom of expression, and if you've got an opinion or a view that contradicts mine, then feel free to let me know. and we can debate it, we can discuss it. And that's how we move forward. That's how we grow as a society. We don't grow as a society by shutting people down, by not allowing people to have their say. That's not how we progress as a society. And if you look at how things are today, the government and the police have created pockets of people, okay? Factions, I call them. Factions. You think about wartime, when you have all these different factions fighting against each other, okay? And that's basically what the government and the police have created, and it's getting worse. The reason it's getting worse is because people don't understand and people cannot grasp the concept that the police and the government are wrong. You need to understand this. It's very, very important. Now, I'm going to get into it now. So if you go to legislation.gov.org, okay. In fact, before I do that, let's have a look at what hate speech is. If you type into Google, what is hate speech? It comes up: abusive or threatening speech or writing that expresses prejudice against a particular group, especially on the basis of race, religion, or sexual orientation. Okay. So, that is the definition in the dictionary as far as Google's concerned. Now, if we go to legislation.gov.uk, we'll be coming back to that page in a second, and we go to advanced search, so you can do this yourself and check that I'm not making it up. Go to advanced search, and in the second text field, type in protection of freedom of expression. Protection of freedom of expression. Scroll down and hit advanced search. Now you're going to be faced with a page full of links. All these top ones are not relevant to what we're talking about here. This is about constitution orders for different British territories. This is where we want to get to, the last few. And again, it's not even all of these that we need to worry about. We don't need to worry about the marriage and civil partnership Scotland. We don't need to worry about council decision here. We don't need to worry about offensive behaviour and football and threatening communications act Scotland. And we don't need to worry about marriage and civil partnership. What we are going to look at, however, is Racial and Religious Hatred Act 2006, Criminal Justice and Immigration Act 2008, Same-Sex Couples Marriage Act 2013, and the Public Order Act 1986. You've all heard of the Public Order Act. Most of you have probably heard of Racial and Religious Hatred Act, and not so many. You've probably heard of Criminal Justice Act, but not the Criminal Justice and Immigration Act. And the Same-Sex Marriage Act is something that probably most of you have not heard of. I certainly hadn't. So let's get into this. When you do a search for a particular keyword or phrase, protection of freedom of expression, when you open it up, it will highlight, which is really good. It highlights where to find that phrase in the act. Makes it very, very easy to find. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that and we're going to have a look. Now this is quite long. We've got here the meaning, section part 3A, section 29A, meaning of religious hatred. Okay. I'm not going to read through all of this. I'm just showing you. So you've got the meaning of religious hatred, use of words or behaviour, publishing or distributing written material, blah, blah, blah. Now, if we come down to, here it is, section 29J, protection of freedom of expression. Nothing in this part shall be read or given effect in a way which prohibits or stops or restricts discussion, criticism, or expressions of antipathy, dislike, ridicule, insult or abuse of particular religions or the beliefs or practices of their adherents, or of any other belief system or the beliefs or practices of its adherents, or proselytizing or urging adherents of a different religion or belief system to cease practicing their religion or belief system. So, what does that read as? Nothing in this part, so nothing in this act, or in this part of the act, shall be read or given effect in a way which stops you or restricts you from discussing, criticising, or expressing your antipathy, expressing your dislike, expressing your ridicule, insult, or abuse of a particular religion or of particular religions. So have a look at that word there for a second, abuse. Nothing in this part shall prohibit you or restrict you from expressing, or insult or abuse. But yet, hate speech is abusive. So what do we go on? What should the law be based on? Should it be based on a dictionary definition, or should it be based on the legislation that's laid out in law? Considering the legislation that's laid out in law says that nothing shall restrict us or prohibit us from expressing antipathy, dislike, ridicule, insult or abuse of particular religions. So there is no such thing as hate speech with regards to racial and religious hatred. Yes, there are going to be things, for example, if you start inciting violence, if you start saying that, for example, if you start saying that all of a particular religion should be killed, that's in my eyes, that is an incitement. It may not be in the eyes of the law, okay? I'm not going through that here, but in my opinion, inciting any kind of harm or loss against somebody is wrong. It's wrong. But it's not hate speech. That is covered under already established legislations in law. So, does hate speech really exist based on this? And let's move on. Criminal Justice and Immigration Act 2008. Again, it highlights it for us. Section 29JA. After Section 29J, insert the following. Protection of freedom of expression, sexual orientation. In this part, for the avoidance of doubt, the discussion or criticism of sexual conduct or practices, or the urging of persons to refrain from or modify such conduct or practices shall not be taken of itself to be threatening or intended to stir up hatred. So the Muslim woman in the video I posted the other day, who was telling the LGBTQ group what she thought is, based on legislation, perfectly fine. It wasn't fine if she was following them around, because that comes under harassment, alarm and distress, because she's harassing them. She's following them purposely to cause alarm, okay? But by stating what you think, what you feel, what your opinions are, is not hate speech, okay? It cannot or shall not be taken of itself to be threatening or intended to stir up hatred. By telling somebody that they look, and I'm only going on this based on the video that I uploaded, by somebody telling somebody in an LGBTQ parade, for example, that that what they're wearing is disgusting. Flashing their bits off is, what did the lady use?
No, I got created you. God created Adam and Eve. God created Adam and Eve. Not Adam and Eve. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on all of you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you, you despicable people. Shame on you, you shameless people. Shame on you. Shame on you, despicable people. Shame on you. That's what the racists and fascists say about you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
That's right. That is not hate speech. And it says in law that it cannot be taken in itself to be threatening or intended to stir up hate. So is hate speech real? Even though There's a dictionary definition of it. Is hate speech real based on legislation? Let's have a look at marriage, same-sex couples, section 29JA of the Public Order Act. It refers back to section 29J. Section 29JA of the Public Order Act 1986, protection of freedom of expression, sexual orientation, is amended in accordance with this paragraph. The existing provision of section 28JA becomes subsection 1 of that section. After that provision, insert the following. In this part, for the avoidance of doubt, any discussion or criticism of marriage which concerns the sex of the parties to marriage shall not be taken of itself to be threatening or intended to stir up hatred. So, again, telling people, if that is your belief, that they should not be together, it is abhorrent, it is, it is a crime against humanity, or whatever it is that might be going through your head. And these aren't my feelings, by the way, because I could not give a monkey's ball bag if 2 men want to go and get married, 2 women want to go and get married, or whatever. Okay? Don't care. It's entirely down to them. I'm just saying these expressions to try and get the point across. But is that hate speech based on law? It's not. Again, there are other sections, other legislations which are in place. Harassment, okay? You can still cause alarm and distress with things that you say, but by having a discussion with somebody, and even if you express your disdain for them, for what they're doing or what they're all about, whether it's religion or whether it's sexuality, that is not hate. So, last but not least, we go to the actual Public Order Act, which all of these go back to. So section 29J is Public Order Act. Section 29JA is under the Public Order Act. This now is the Public Order Act that we're looking at. And just for avoidance of any doubt, we shall open these directly from this page and we shall have a look. Changes over time for section 29J. There has been none since 2007. There are currently no known outstanding effects on the Public Order Act 1986, section 29J. Protection of freedom of expression. Nothing in this part shall be read or given effect in a way which prohibits or restricts discussion, which prohibits or restricts criticism, which prohibits or restricts expression of antipathy, dislike, ridicule, that prohibits or restricts insult or abuse of particular religions or the beliefs or practices of their adherents or of any other belief system or the beliefs or practices of its adherents, or proselytizing or urging adherents of a different religion or belief system to cease practicing their religion or belief system. As long as you're not inciting violence, as long as you're not trying to cause violence or loss to somebody, then you can pretty much say what you want, using your common sense. Have some integrity about you. If you're having a discussion, then you can pretty much say what you feel in that discussion environment, which is what I try and do in the comments on these videos. But based on that, is there such a thing as hate speech? Let's have a look at section 29A, protection of freedom of expression, sexual orientation. In this part, for the avoidance of doubt, the discussion or criticism of sexual conduct or practices, or the urging of persons to refrain from or modify such conduct or practices, shall not be taken of itself to be threatening or intended to stir up hatred. And part 2, in this part, for the avoidance of doubt, any discussion or criticism of marriage which concerns the same sex of the parties to marriage shall not be taken in itself to be threatening or intended to stir up hatred. So, you tell me in the comments below, is there, based on law, such a thing as hate speech? I would really like to know your opinions. Now you know this, now I've shown this to you, I would really like to know your opinions. if it's changed your mind, if you still believe that there's such a thing as hate speech. I'm not going to ridicule anybody. I try and have intelligent discussions in the comments where I can with intelligent people. So I really would like to know what your thoughts are based on what I've just shown you. I'm also going to ask you as well, because I don't believe the police know about this. I mean, the police can't know about all of the laws and legislations. I understand that. It seems to be the ones that they should know that they get wrong. You know, the ones that they use all the time. They're the ones that they really should know, but they don't seem to. So, I'm going to ask you all, if you're out and about and you see a police constable or a police officer, a sergeant, inspector, whatever, or even if you're near a police station, get your phone out. Go and ask them if they know what section, or if they can tell you what section 29J and 29JA of the Public Order Act 1986 says, without them looking it up. See if they can tell you what it is, because I have a very, very strong feeling that none of them will be able to tell you without checking. And considering in this day and age, with all this hate speech thing that's going around, you'd think that they would know this. So there we go. This video will probably get attacked quite heavily. And I think I've probably just exposed something, thanks to the person who passed me this information. I think I've just exposed something to, you know, nearly 7,000 subscribers here that you probably didn't know. I'm pretty sure 99.99% of you didn't know this. I didn't know this, but I think it's incredibly important to know this. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave that to mull over. Please, again, feel free to leave some comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm about 7 subscribers away from 7,000. So if you know anybody that would be interested in the channel, please get them over, because I'd love to get past that 7,000 mark. And if you're out and about and you see a police officer, police constable, no point asking a plastic plod, because they're just not going to have a clue. But if you see an actual police officer or police constable, get your phone out, get your camera out, get video in, and go and ask them, what is section 29J and 29JA of the Public Order Act 1986? And upload it to your YouTube channel. You can upload it as unlisted and send me a link, but I would love to be able to get a little montage together, as many clips as I can, all into one video, just to show how, whether or not the police actually know. And then we can congratulate the police that do know. So don't forget to get their numbers as well. Don't forget to get their collar number and their name if you can, all on video. So if you can do that for me, I would really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you ever so much once again for checking out the video, and I'll see you again soon.
Good night, all.